851, turn right heading 180. Order 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established.
Hey everyone, welcome to DJ's Aviation and another episode in my Aviation News Weekly series. I just want to make it very clear that if I don't sound as enthusiastic in upcoming uploads, including this one, it's because I've got some personal stuff going on in my life and it is kind of affecting my excitement levels. It's a bit difficult to record and always be happy, but nevertheless, I still want to provide content for you all, so I'm just going to try my best. I'm just informing you on this because I want you to know so you don't watch a video and be like, why on earth am I sounding not like, hey guys, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's get on to the news part of the video. In this series, I discuss all the latest developments within the aviation industry that didn't get their own separate video or were just generally a very small story. In this episode, you can expect news on low-cost carrier Norwegian and their rise through the ranks, our Cleared for Takeoff segment where I discuss route news, news on Pakistan International Airlines, an incident involving a Thai Airways 747, Bamboo Airways, and a lot more. As always, if you check the pinned comment, you will be able to find that I've listed the timestamps for each story. This will mean that you'll be able to listen to one specific story at your will and not have to watch the whole video if you don't want to. This has simply been requested in the comments of previous videos and hence why I'm going to be doing that. We begin the episode with Norwegian, an airline which is frequently featured on the channel of late, and that's not just down to their rapid success, it's also down to my strong interest in their business model. The airline in recent days has become the largest non-US carrier to serve New York. This means it surpassed British Airways in traffic. The airline carried, according to the most recent traffic reports, 1.67 million international passengers from any of the 3 New York City airports. British Airways only recorded 1.63 million, so while not a huge difference, it is a big win for Norwegian Airlines, who continue to take market share on these ever-popular transatlantic airlines that are more established than them. These figures were taken in a 12-month period which ended at the very end of July this year. The data was taken from the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. The news is very encouraging for other low-cost airlines looking to dip in or continue to grow in the transatlantic market. With the market now, you could say, becoming quite congested and more airlines are competing for that all-important market share, which, out of curiosity if you're wondering, is currently led by United, who according to the figures dominate the market in and out of New York. In recent months, we've witnessed airlines like WoW Air or WOW Air continue to expand their operations with a key focus on transatlantic services. And in addition to that, we've also seen the unfortunate fall of Primera Air, who expanded, according to many, far too quickly, and didn't simply anticipate what was required to sustain an airline that was operating transatlantic flights. This is now a perfect example for carriers wanting to dip into this market. Don't do it too quickly. Plan, and plan some more. The new developments come as no shock to many. In fact, the International Airlines group made 2 approaches according to Norwegian earlier this year. IAG own Iberia, another airline fighting for market share in the transatlantic sector. Many people believe that the IAG were making this move in an attempt to destroy their competition. As they do say, if you can't beat your competition, you buy them, at least within the aviation industry, that is. Norwegian rejected this approach, though, from the International Airlines group and instead have actually preferred to continue operating as normal, and they are definitely reaping the benefits from doing that. The Norwegian CEO and founder commented on the figures that were announced, stating, "Passenger numbers by the NYNJ Port Authority further endorses the strong demand for lower fares on lucrative transatlantic routes, as we flew more customers to and from New York than any other international airline in 12 months to July 2018, adding, "Fares have been too high for too long, as transatlantic routes have been long dominated by carriers with outdated legacies running on fumes." When commenting on the product available, he said, "With brand new aircraft that are the most fuel efficient over the transatlantic skies, customers can look forward to receiving a high quality flight experience to and from New York, and globally, with the leading premium low fare airline." Moving on, I want to focus briefly now on Bamboo Airways. You may recall that they were actually a carrier that I covered on the channel a few months ago. They are expected to launch flights on the 10th of October this year. However, these plans have fallen through as the carrier hasn't been able to obtain the necessary license required to begin operations in the time allocated. These delays aren't reported to be of a huge concern, as the Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam told Reuters that all their applications were executed perfectly. However, it is a lengthy process to get these all accepted. These delays, though, aren't hindering the Vietnamese startup carrier from excelling, and now they have a revised start date of at least before the end of 2018. Bamboo will enter the Vietnam market and battle with the likes of Vietnam Airlines, Jetstar Pacific, Vietjet, and more. With a relatively new generation fleet of 787-9s and A321neos set to join in the future, the airline plans on operating leased aircraft for the first year of operations, which is probably the best decision that can be made. Next, news broke on the 9th of October of an incident that unfolded the night before at Bangkok International. The incident involved a Thai Airways 747-400, which partially ran off the runway. I say partially because it wasn't a huge excursion that the aircraft encountered. There were only 97 passengers and 18 crew aboard the double-decker Boeing 747-400, and thankfully no injuries were sustained during the events. An investigation is currently underway to determine how this happened, but it is noted at the time of the incident, conditions were relatively poor with lots of rain in the area. If we find out anything about that investigation, I will make sure to update you in the next Aviation News Weekly, but don't expect anything too soon, as it could be a very lengthy investigation. An airline which I often see in the comment section being requested by you all is PIA, or Pakistan International Airlines. The airline, despite its almost constant leadership troubles, is actually still eyeing expansion in the future, and it's been announced they'll dry lease 2 A320s during the first quarter of 2019. The airline earlier in the year actually revealed a brand new livery and a whole new image, which they intend to help rebrand that image that they've created over the years. This new livery will mark a brand new time for the airline. The Pakistan International Airlines chairman said it was discussed that due to increasing demand in the market, the enhancement of our fleet has become unavoidable, as the present fleet is not sufficient to cater to that demand. This is something that a number of carriers are actually experiencing, with attempting to cope with that added demand to fly. However, the airline over the course of 9 years has actually lost $3 billion US. So, despite those leadership problems and, of course, the losses, they're still planning for the future, and they hope it is going to be a relatively successful one for them. In the segment Cleared for Takeoff, it's time to discuss route news. Lufthansa announced that from October 28th, they would no longer operate to San Jose, due to commercial reasons. The service was launched in 2016, and after 2 years, the airline will cease the route. Etihad Airways, despite mentioning they would be closing their lounge at Heathrow, has also announced that they'll be launching a 4th daily service from Abu Dhabi to Heathrow over the busy festive period. The flight will be operated by the 787-9 from December the 15th, 2018 to January the 13th, 2019. And no doubt this aircraft would have become available from the various route cancellations Etihad has put into place as they continue to try and cut costs. In another new segment to this episode of Aviation News Weekly, called Up and Away, I'd like to briefly go over aircraft news. We were lucky enough during this week to see the main gears that will feature on the new Boeing 777X. Air New Zealand are also rapidly approaching the delivery of their first A321neo, and the aircraft is now fully assembled and actually painted in their very elegant all-black scheme. An Air Baltic A220-300 was also delivered. Registration for that one is YL-CSL. In addition to this, China Southern welcomed another A320 with the registration of B-301J. In the A350 series, we're seeing multiple aircraft move to the painting area, cabin fitting and more, all simply awaiting their delivery. Airlines like Hong Kong, Singapore, Latam, Cathay and more are all currently in that area. I'd like to thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of Aviation News Weekly. If you have any thoughts on what I've covered in this video, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comment section below. If you want to see more of these, please also give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I do very much look forward to you all joining me in the next Aviation News Weekly, or simply the next video. See ya.
Erase all of these broken dreams in flight, and we'll fly.